Hi friends, it's Morgan with Compass Rose Astrology, and welcome to this week's Celestial Sunday video, where we talk about all of the upcoming transits that are kind of happening in the skies and all the energies that we could be experiencing. And this is dependent on your birth chart, so some of these things you won't, feel very much. Some of these things will be on like next level, like intensity. So, if you aren't really experiencing some of these things, it's totally okay, totally normal. It really depends on your birth chart and what year, perfection year that you're in. So, but still, some of these transits might be affecting you. So let's just go through all of them and just see that what you might be feeling or what events might be happening for you this week. This week's transits are honestly a bit on the heavier side. There's a lot of Scorpio energy going on in our entrance into November. And there's a lot of Saturn vibes as well. So you'll kind of notice this like give and take between lots of activity happening in Scorpio, and then Saturn pops up a little bit. And just to kind of give you guys an idea, the like kind of archetypal energy that we might experience with Scorpio. Scorpio is the archetype of kind of death, rebirth, intensity. It's about depth. There's kind of this modern astrological association of Scorpio with having like a 3-phase life. And that's similar to the whole birth, death, and rebirth cycle. And Scorpio is typically said to have the 3 phases. It's the phase of the Scorpion, which is kind of like the base level Scorpio energy, and then we have the energy of the eagle, and then the energy of the phoenix. So a lot of that imagery kind of pops up around Scorpio, and all of it really invokes kind of otherworldliness, kind of on a different plane of existence from you, like whether it's kind of scary like a scorpion, or whether it's super regal and just very ethereal like an eagle, or completely fantastical and kind of mythological and untouchable like the phoenix. And those are all really heavy Scorpio energies, and kind of paired with Saturn, there's this like sense of really slowing down, really getting to the core of things. And that's really going to happen a lot this week. On Sunday, October 30th, today, we have Mars is turning retrograde. It's moving into a retrograde motion in Gemini, and it's going to appear as if it's moving backwards in the sky. So what this typically means is that things are going to be revisited. Everything that we have gone through since Mars first went into Gemini, depending on where Gemini falls in your birth chart, you will be experiencing it kind of differently. And Mars is going to appear to be going backwards. It's going to be going retrograde until January 15th, 2023. So it's going to be going retrograde for quite some time. So this is a bit of a build-up energy. So we're just talking about it now because it's happening now, but it will be something you'll kind of experience like slowly, and you'll probably feel stages of it as it hits different parts in the house of Gemini. So anything you've kind of been like focusing on recently, like bettering kind of business plans, or how you mentor your employees, could be even upping your physical self-care, because that's a really, really strong kind of embodiment of Mars. All of that will really be called into focus, and you'll be kind of asked to revisit whatever this plan is, or whatever you put into motion. And you'll kind of be asked to revisit it in a way like, is this working? Is it really the right path for you? Is it really kind of built up for who you are? And does it work for you in a physical, mental, and spiritual sense? And there's also a really strong question of like, are you leading and planning this with integrity and verve, or are you just doing kind of what you think you have to do? Is that like how other people do it? For example, if you have been trying to delve into like self-care, and you're getting inspiration from other people or from family members or whatever, like different workout routines, Is it really the right thing for you? Like, are you really a high intensity interval training kind of person? Are you really a Peloton person? Are you more of a class goer, like with people, other people in the class? So in a studio. So that's something to kind of like, just because other people, it works for them, doesn't mean it'll necessarily work for you. And Gemini, Mars and Gemini is definitely going to be asking you about that. And this week, we have kind of a lot of like heavy moon energies, which typically entails a lot of kind of emotional heaviness as well, because the moon is super quick and its transits are really quick. So what it brings up is usually kind of fleeting, which is good in this week's case, but it's still really focused on kind of your emotional reaction to things. And so especially on Monday, October 31st, we have the moon conjunct Pluto in Capricorn. So it's just passing right on over Pluto. And I also really focused on moon transits this week because we are leading up to a full moon eclipse in Taurus on November 8th. So in this phase of the moon cycle, the energy of the moon is growing because it's growing up to that full moon, right? So the power that it has is growing as well. So having the moon and Pluto conjunct is a bit of a heavy energy. There could be some resurfacing memories here that kind of mess with your perspective on things, and it especially could be over something that you've revisited or gone over before. So maybe you had an idea about something that you wanted to do, or maybe a new tradition that you kind of want to put into place. It's the holiday season, you know, there could be that kind of theme happening here for you. But maybe while you're trying to put this idea, you know, out into the world, or this new tradition or something, you might be faced with some old memories of something, of maybe you trying to do something like this in the past, or someone else tried to do something like this in the past and it just didn't work, or it's like triggering some like emotional traumas that you've gone through, honestly, about maybe how other people respond to you or how you respond to criticism. Could be stuff like that. And this is really making you doubt yourself. There could be really strong kind of overwhelming thoughts that remove any hard-won groundedness that we might have been trying to get ever since the eclipse season started. So kind of be aware of that. There might be something that's trying to rock your boat and trying to knock you over. And luckily, it's only just that day. So be aware of that on Monday. But then on Tuesday, November 1st, the moon transits out of Capricorn and goes into Aquarius, and it is conjunct Saturn. And so here's this first like really heavy Saturn transit and energy I mentioned earlier. So basically whatever memories were brought up the day before with Pluto, you're kind of being faced with a sense of isolation and melancholy over it. Saturn really brings up those feelings just of being kind of apart and distant and not really being connected with people. And this could be coming from like a mother figure or a sister or a wife, some sort of feminine energy, because the moon typically symbolizes feminine energy. So it could be that, or maybe they are feeling this sense of isolation, you know, maybe they feel kind of emotionally cut off. And it could be just over some sort of past event from someone else that's making you feel guilt. So just kind of be aware of that could be coming in at you. And Uranus is being squared by the moon as well on Tuesday. And so this typically means you could face sleeplessness over this matter. So if you have a hard time sleeping on Tuesday, that could be why. But it could also be like thinking outside of the box. Like you might be forced to approach something in a different situation. If you are feeling guilt, maybe there's something you could talk to a therapist about and be like, I don't feel like I should be feeling guilty because I didn't do anything wrong. So how do I approach this initial trigger reaction that I have when I'm in a situation like this? So there could be a really productive way to approach the energies on this day. And So don't be afraid of it, but you know, just be aware that if you feel any sort of anxiety, this could be causing it. And then on Saturday, November 5th, we have Venus in Scorpio opposite Uranus in Taurus. Whatever emotions, whatever energies, feelings, whatever came up during the Scorpio eclipse the week before, which was October 25th, you could be feeling this kind of wave of revisiting themes from that week and from that eclipse, because these are happening like in the same spot in the sky. So whether that's overwhelm, isolation, you might have been working on a stronger foundation, or any sort of kind of spectrum around the idea of control. So whether that's gaining control over your own life, or maybe something happened where you're feeling like a little lost, or maybe like you lost control over something, that could be kind of making an entrance again this day, honestly. Then we have a following Taurus eclipse on November 8th, and this is going to also bring up a lot of these themes again, but it's going to be more of kind of like a completion, whereas the solar eclipse in October was kind of the beginning of some energies, and then hopefully those stressors, those feelings, and energies will kind of like come to an end in November. That's what I'm hoping, right? But that's typically what those astrological phases mean, is that we have a beginning, we have an end. A full moon eclipse is essentially like a regular full moon, just like way more powerful. So use it to your advantage if you want to tie up some loose ends, especially if you are kind of getting feelings of that out of control, needing to have something stronger to kind of hold you up. That will definitely need to be kind of taken into account here. If you focus on some of the things that came up this week, especially with maybe like anything that might be triggering you, or kind of causing you sleepless nights, I think that would be a really good place to start self-care and to help you out here, because it will just help you ride the waves of the eclipses, because they're not over yet, unfortunately. The nodes are going to be in Scorpio and Taurus for a while, so let's just kind of make the best of the situation as we can, right? Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's kind of short and sweet, but those are the main transits that are happening this week, so let me know if any of these energies kind of happen, or if you're feeling anything kind of now as well, because some of these orbs can, you know, affect you before and after the perfecting transits and aspects. So I will talk to you guys in our next video. Bye.